Have you ever felt an unseen weight pressing down on you, a subtle force that doesn't attack with conventional weapons, nor strike you down with brute force, but instead, silently, almost imperceptibly, drains your very essence? What if these influences, often disguised as fleeting pleasure, deceptive comfort, or even a distorted form of love, are quietly lowering your vibration, darkening your inner energy, and making the beautiful journey of life feel inexplicably heavier than it truly should be? The wise sages of old understood this well. They spoke not only of the physical toxins that can harm the body, but of far more insidious, unseen poisons that quietly attach themselves to the soul, pulling us away from our true, vibrant nature. Could recognizing these be the first step to reclaiming our lightness of being? You may not notice them at first, these subtle drains on your spirit. They often arrive cloaked in alluring disguises, perhaps as the fleeting excitement of gossip, the temporary solace of overindulgence, or the false security of clinging to what no longer serves you. But as time inevitably passes, a nagging realization begins to dawn. Something fundamental within you has changed. You feel more susceptible to anxiety, more easily exhausted, perhaps more profoundly lost and disconnected than ever before. The Buddha himself once profoundly said, "What you attach yourself to determines whether you rise or fall. Attach yourself to things that lift your spirit, and you will surely rise. Touch things that poison your energy, and you will begin to sink before you even realize what is happening." In this light, there are 7 particular things, 7 unseen influences, that can lower your precious vibration faster than almost anything else. Some of them you may already intuitively know. Others, perhaps, will surprise you, but all of them, without exception, work in a chillingly similar way. They pull you down, make your faults heavy and clouded, and disconnect you from the radiant light of your true, authentic nature. To illustrate this timeless wisdom, let me share with you the story of a traveler, a seeker who discovered these truths the hard, experiential way. The traveler who touched what he shouldn't have. A long, long time ago, a determined traveler set out on a sacred journey, his singular goal, to find the fabled source of true wisdom. He had heard persistent whispers, carried on the wind and shared in hushed tones, of a great and enlightened master who lived serenely beyond the formidable, mist-shrouded mountains, a sage who was said to know the deepest, most profound secrets of life itself. And so, he walked for many arduous days and nights, courageously crossing swift-flowing rivers and navigating dense, ancient forests, his heart alight with a fervent, almost palpable excitement. But what he did not yet know, what no map could show him, was that before he could ever hope to reach the luminous peaks of wisdom, he would first have to pass through the 7 challenging trials of the unseen poisons, subtle yet potent influences that would relentlessly try to lower his vibration and make him forget the noble purpose that had set him upon this path. His first encounter came with negative speech. As the traveler walked through a seemingly quiet, sun-dappled valley, he met a group of men who were laughing uproariously, their voices sharp and their words like carelessly thrown knives. They mocked each other with cruel jests, spoke ill with relish of those who were not present to defend themselves, and generally filled the once peaceful air with the toxic static of idle gossip. The traveler, feeling a pang of loneliness from his solitary journey, decided to sit with him for a while and listened. At first, their banter seemed harmless enough, perhaps even a bit amusing, but soon, very soon, he began to feel something strange stirring within him. His heart, once light, felt inexplicably heavy. His mind, previously clear and focused, became clouded with a barrage of unwelcome judgments and criticisms. He found himself, much to his own dismay, thinking more about the perceived faults of others than about the sacred journey that lay ahead. That night, his sleep was troubled and shallow. The harsh words he had heard, the critical energy he had absorbed, replayed relentlessly in his mind like a discordant echo, robbing him of his precious peace. It was then, in the quiet solitude of that restless night, that he realized a profound truth. Speech carries potent energy. When you speak or immerse yourself in listening to negativity, it inevitably attaches itself to you, clinging like an unwelcome shadow. He left their company in the cool light of the morning, his resolve firm. Never again would he willingly indulge in, or passively absorb, the poison of negative speech. Further along his path, he encountered the trial of toxic food and drink. He came across a small, makeshift feast where fellow travelers were eating with gusto and drinking merrily. Their faces flushed with indulgence. The jovial host warmly invited him to join, offering him food that smelled incredibly rich and intoxicating, and drink that promised oblivion from the road's weariness. At first, a small voice of caution within him hesitated, but the gnawing hunger from his long trek soon overtook his better judgment, and he ate far more than his body truly needed. He drank until his mind became pleasantly slow, his worries momentarily forgotten. He laughed loudly, without any real reason, caught up in the superficial revelry. But when he awoke the next morning, a heavy price had been paid. His body felt uncharacteristically weak and sluggish. His mind was dull, his thoughts muddled. His vibrant energy of the previous days was noticeably low. The very food and drink that had tasted so wonderfully good, that had promised such fleeting pleasure, had, in reality, stolen his clarity, his vitality. He found he could not walk as fast as before, nor could he think as sharply. In that moment of groggy discomfort, he realized another vital truth. The body and mind are inextricably one. When you consume things that dull and weigh down the body, you inevitably dull and weigh down the spirit as well. From that day forward, he resolved to choose only food and drink that made him feel light, energized, and clear, not heavy, lethargic, and clouded. The next trial arrived in the form of holding on to anger. He encountered a merchant in a bustling marketplace who, through a sly trick of hand, cheated him during an exchange. The traveler had traded some of his few remaining coins for essential supplies. But later, upon closer inspection, he discovered he had been given significantly less than what he had rightfully paid for. A fire of hot anger immediately burned in his heart. His first instinct was to turn back, to confront the merchant, to demand justice, perhaps even to engage in a physical fight to reclaim what was his. But then, in that moment of rising fury, a wise saying he had once heard echoed in his mind: holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are invariably the one who gets burned. And so, instead of reacting impulsively, he took a series of deep, calming breaths, and consciously, with great effort, let the anger go. He released it, watching it dissipate like smoke on the wind. And as soon as he did, a remarkable clarity returned to his mind, and his feet, which had felt rooted in fury, suddenly felt lighter, eager to continue his journey. He understood then that anger is not truly a weapon against others. It is a self-inflicted wound, a poison that primarily harms the one who foolishly carries it within their heart. As he walked further, his spirit somewhat tested, but his resolve still strong, he came upon the trial of attachment to the past. He found himself before an old, crumbling ruin, the skeletal remains of what was once, perhaps, a grand house. There, an elderly man sat, his gaze fixed, lost in a reverie, staring intently at the decaying stones. The traveler, his curiosity piqued, gently asked, "Forgive me, elder, but what is this place?" The old man, his voice raspy with unspoken sorrow, replied, "It was once my home. Here, I had a loving family, a considerable fortune, and a life filled with what I believed was true happiness. But the relentless winds of fate, in their cruel indifference, swept him all away." He sighed deeply. "I return here every single day, foolishly hoping to feel again just a fleeting echo of what I once felt, of what I have lost." The traveler felt a profound sadness settle in his own heart as he listened. The past, for this man, was not a gentle memory. It was a heavy, rusted chain wrapped tightly around his very soul, effectively keeping him tethered to his grief, preventing him from ever truly moving forward. That night, under the silent, watchful stars, the traveler reflected deeply. Clinging so desperately to the past is like trying to walk resolutely forward while constantly, stubbornly looking backward. You will only ever stumble. You will only ever fall. From that day onward, he vowed to cherish his memories, to learn from them, but never again to allow them to imprison him, never to let them stop him from fully living in and embracing the precious gift of the present moment. The very next day, his journey brought him to a group of people who represented the trial of surrounding yourself with low-energy people. These individuals seemed utterly lost in their own collective misery. They complained incessantly about the unfairness of life, spoke only of their endless misfortunes and ailments, and seemed incapable of seeing even a single ray of light or hope in the vast, beautiful world around them. The traveler, with his compassionate heart, stayed with him for a while, genuinely trying to offer words of encouragement, to share a little of his own hard-won optimism. But he soon noticed something strange, something unsettling, happening within himself. His own energy, which had been relatively buoyant, was palpably draining away, as if being siphoned off. Their constant litany of woes, their endlessly pessimistic words, felt like heavy, invisible stones, slowly but surely pulling him down into their shared darkness. He suddenly understood with stark clarity: you cannot effectively lift yourself, or anyone else for that matter, while simultaneously holding on tightly to those who seem determined to stay mired in the mud of their own negativity. With a genuinely heavy heart, for he wished them well, he left their company, knowing with a newfound certainty that he could not save those who did not truly wish to save themselves. As he neared the towering mountain where the great master was said to reside, he encountered a man who embodied the trial of living without purpose. This man seemed to wander aimlessly along the path, his eyes vacant, his steps lacking any clear direction. "Greetings, friend, where are you going with such an uncertain air?" the traveler asked kindly. "I do not truly know," the man replied with a sigh of resignation. "I simply follow wherever the wind happens to take me, wherever the path may lead." The traveler felt an unexpected chill run down his spine. A life lived without a clear purpose, without a guiding star, was like a rudderless boat adrift on a vast, indifferent ocean, lost, disoriented, utterly unable to reach any desired shore. In that moment, he remembered with renewed clarity why he had begun this arduous journey in the first place. He had a goal, he had a purpose, he had a burning reason to keep moving forward, to overcome obstacles. Without it, he realized with a shiver, he too would be as lost and adrift as this aimless wanderer. He understood then, more deeply than ever before, that to live without a guiding purpose is to unwittingly invite a pervasive, soul-draining emptiness into your life. Finally, as he began to climb the last, steep steps of the formidable mountain, the ultimate trial presented itself. Fear. A sudden, violent storm broke out with little warning. The wind howled like a tormented spirit. Lightning flashed, illuminating the treacherous path in stark, terrifying relief, and he felt a primal fear, cold and gripping, clutched at his heart. His first instinct was to turn back, to seek shelter, to abandon his quest so close to its culmination. But then, through the roaring of the storm, another piece of wisdom, perhaps learned along the way or perhaps an echo from his own determined soul, surfaced in his mind. Fear is often the final, formidable gatekeeper. It almost always appears right before a significant transformation, right before a breakthrough. And so, with a surge of newfound courage, he took one hesitant step forward into the raging storm, then another, and as he resolutely walked into the very heart of the tempest, he found, much to his astonishment, that the fear which had seemed so overwhelming only moments before began to subtly, then profoundly, dissolve. At long last, soaked but undeterred, he reached the great master's humble dwelling. But when he finally stood before the entrance, a truly astonishing realization dawned upon him, a wave of insight that washed over him with the force of the storm he had just weathered. The master, he now understood, had not needed to give him wisdom through words or discourse. The journey itself, with all its trials and tribulations, had already imparted it to him. He had seen the 7 poisons firsthand. For himself, he had felt their insidious weight, their power to derail and diminish, and through each encounter, he had learned their invaluable lessons. And now, standing there, he was, in a very real sense, free. The traveler learned, through the crucible of his own experience, that to truly raise one's vibration, to live a life of clarity and purpose, one must consciously, diligently avoid those things that relentlessly try to pull it down. He understood that 1. Negative speech is more than just words. Words literally shape your energy. 2. Toxic food and drink are not to be taken lightly, for what you consume inexorably becomes a part of you, influencing body and mind. 3. Holding on to anger is a self-destructive act. Anger is a poison you unknowingly drink yourself. 4. Attachment to the past is a futile endeavor. The past is gone. Only the ever-present now truly remains. 5. Low-energy people can profoundly affect your spirit. Who you surround yourself with truly matters. 6. Living without purpose is a path to nowhere. A life without clear direction invites emptiness and stagnation. And 7. Fear is often the last great illusion that stands before profound transformation and liberation. The traveler walked away from that mountain dwelling not just wiser, but significantly lighter, his spirit unburdened, his path illuminated from within. And so, my friends, can you do not willingly touch these things that diminish your light? Learn to gently, wisely, let go of what consistently lowers you, and you too will find yourself rising, almost effortlessly, into a state of profound peace and clarity. This, then, is the art of protecting your energy, understanding the subtle influence of vibration. Everything in this interconnected life, without exception, carries a distinct energy, a unique vibration. The food we choose to eat, the words we allow ourselves to speak, the emotions we consistently hold within our hearts, and yes, even the people we choose to surround ourselves with. All of these elements either serve to raise our vibration or, conversely, to lower it. When your personal vibration is naturally high, life tends to flow with a beautiful, almost effortless grace. You feel light, creatively inspired, and genuinely joyful. Your mind is typically clear and focused. Your body feels strong and resilient, and you find yourself naturally attracting positive, uplifting experiences and people. But when your vibration is consistently low, you often feel stuck, as if wading through thick mud. You may become easily tired for no apparent reason, feel anxious and worried over relatively small things, and life itself can begin to feel like an arduous, unending struggle. The 7 poisons described in our traveler's story are not just abstract spiritual metaphors. They are very real, tangible forces that actively influence your state of being every single day. The traveler experienced them firsthand on his quest, and so too, in our own unique ways, do we, every day, in countless small and large ways. We make choices that either serve to elevate our spirit or subtly, insidiously drain our precious life force. Let us then, together, reflect deeply on these ancient teachings, and consider with open hearts how they might apply to the intricate tapestry of our own modern lives. Let's begin by looking more closely at the first of these unseen poisons, negative speech, and the profound power of our words. Words, you see, are not just fleeting sounds or abstract symbols. They are potent vessels of energy. We left our traveler having gained profound wisdom, not from a master's discourse, but from the very fabric of his journey, the realization that to elevate our being, we must first become acutely aware of what pulls us down. We touched upon the first of these unseen influences, negative speech, and the incredible power of words, noting that words are not just fleeting sounds. They are potent vessels of energy, architects of our perceived reality. The very moment you speak, you send out distinct vibrations, subtle yet powerful currents that actively shape the world you experience, both internally and externally. When you allow yourself to speak negatively, whether through complaining, incessant criticizing, or engaging in idle, often harmful, gossip, you are not merely expressing a thought, you are actively lowering your own energetic frequency, and unfortunately, that of those around you as well. Take a moment to notice, truly notice, how you physically and emotionally feel after engaging in a session of gossip, or after passively listening to someone who constantly complains. Do you feel genuinely inspired, uplifted, and energized, or do you, more often than not, feel subtly drained, a little heavier, perhaps even a bit tainted by the exchange? A wise and ancient practice, therefore, is to cultivate the discipline of speaking only that which is genuinely useful, inherently kind, and truly uplifting. If a word, a sentence, a story does not demonstrably add value to the silence, then perhaps allow that precious silence to be your most eloquent response. Ask yourself these honest questions. Do I typically engage in conversations that bring light and understanding? Or do my words often carry the subtle undercurrents of negativity? How does my body, my very being, feel after I have spoken certain words? Does it feel light and expansive, or heavy and constricted? The second unseen poison our traveler encountered was toxic food and drink, and the undeniable truth that what you consume literally becomes you. Your body, in this understanding, is not merely a physical shell. It is the sacred temple of your mind, the vessel for your spirit. When you habitually nourish this temple with unhealthy, processed foods, or when you frequently consume intoxicating substances that cloud your perception, you are, in effect, directly lowering your energetic frequency. A heavy, sluggish body almost invariably leads to a heavy, sluggish mind. Begin to observe, with mindful attention, how your body truly reacts after eating certain foods or consuming particular drinks. Do you feel genuinely energized, clear-headed, and vibrant, or do you find yourself feeling sluggish, mentally foggy, and depleted? Our traveler, in his moment of post-feast discomfort, realized a profound truth. The fleeting pleasure of taste is often momentary, but the consequential effects on the body and mind can last much, much longer. Reflect on this. What specific foods consistently make me feel light, alive, and truly nourished? Am I perhaps unknowingly consuming substances that cloud my clarity, dull my senses, and subtly lower my precious vibration? Third, the traveler faced the trial of holding on to anger, that fierce fire that burns from within. Experiencing anger as a fleeting human emotion is natural, but consciously choosing to hold on to it, to nurture it, to replay its fiery scenarios in your mind, that is a choice, and often a detrimental one. Many people mistakenly believe that their sustained anger somehow punishes the other person, the perceived source of the grievance. But in truth, as our traveler discovered, it primarily and most painfully harms the one who holds it. Imagine anger as a burning fire held tightly within your own hands. The longer you clutch it, the more intensely it consumes your peace, your serenity, your well-being. Our traveler, by consciously choosing to take a deep breath and let his anger go, instantly felt his mind become clearer and his body lighter. Can you, too, learn to do the same? Ask yourself, what past anger, what old resentment am I still unknowingly holding on to, allowing it to smolder within me? How might my life, my relationships, my inner peace genuinely change if I courageously chose to release it now? Fourth on his path was the challenge of attachment to the past. That heavy, invisible chain that so often holds you back from embracing the present. So many people, perhaps even ourselves at times, live their lives predominantly in the past, constantly reliving old memories, whether joyful or painful, endlessly ruminating over past regrets, or perpetually mourning missed opportunities. But the past, as our traveler came to understand, is like a firmly closed door. You simply cannot re-enter it, no matter how much you may long to. He met an elderly man literally trapped by the ruins of his past, unable to move forward, his spirit tethered to what was no more. And how many of us, in more subtle ways, do the very same thing? We replay past mistakes on an endless loop in our minds. We cling desperately to the ghosts of old relationships. We mourn for what was lost, for what might have been. But life, in its relentless wisdom, always moves forward, and so, too, must we. Consider this. Do I spend more of my precious time and energy thinking about the past than I do fully living in and appreciating the present moment? What specific memories, regrets, or attachments from my past can I consciously begin to let go of right now in order to free myself to embrace the future? The fifth trial was that of surrounding yourself with low-energy people and the undeniable weight of their influence. It's a subtle truth that you gradually, often unconsciously, become like the people you spend the most significant amount of your time with. If you consistently surround yourself with those who perpetually complain, who frequently engage in gossip, or who seem to dwell in a persistent state of negativity and victimhood, their dense, heavy energy will slowly, inevitably, begin to permeate your own. Our traveler realized, with a pang of sadness, that no matter how earnestly he tried to uplift the negative people he met on his path, they were often simply not willing, or perhaps not yet ready, to change. In the end, to protect his own precious energy, his own hard-won clarity. He had to make the difficult choice to walk away. Sometimes, the most powerful and compassionate act of self-care is to lovingly, yet firmly, distance yourself from those who consistently pull you down. Reflect, are there people in my current life who regularly drain my energy, leaving me feeling depleted after our interactions? How do I genuinely feel, both physically and emotionally, after spending time with certain individuals or groups? Sixth, our traveler encountered the desolation of living without purpose, the profound emptiness of wandering without a clear direction, a life lived without a guiding purpose, without a why, often feels empty, adrift. When you have no clear internal compass, no meaningful direction towards which you are striving, you can easily find yourself drifting aimlessly through your days, never feeling truly fulfilled, never experiencing that deep sense of satisfaction that comes from meaningful engagement. The traveler met a man who wandered without knowing why, a poignant symbol of this inner void. Without a defined purpose, every day can feel repetitive, mundane, and ultimately meaningless. But with a clear sense of purpose, even the simplest, most ordinary actions can become imbued with profound meaning and significance. It's about finding your reason for waking up with enthusiasm each morning. And it doesn't have to be some grand, world-changing ambition. It can be as beautifully simple as consciously seeking inner peace each day, intentionally spreading kindness wherever you go, or committing to learning something new and expansive. Ask yourself, do I have a clear, heartfelt purpose that is currently guiding my actions and choices? What small, actionable steps can I take today, this very day, to begin living with more conscious intention and a greater sense of meaning? And finally, at the very threshold of his goal, he faced fear, the last great illusion before significant growth. Fear, as our traveler discovered, is often the final, formidable gatekeeper that stands guard right before a moment of profound transformation or a significant breakthrough. It tends to appear with its greatest intensity whenever you are about to step into something new, something greater, something that requires you to expand beyond your current comfort zone. The traveler almost turned back when the fierce storm came, when his heart was gripped by that primal terror. But then he remembered, or perhaps his soul whispered to him, that fear is often an illusion, a projection of the mind. The very moment he courageously walked through it, it began to lose its power. It began to disappear. How many times, if we are truly honest with ourselves, have we stopped ourselves from pursuing our dreams, from taking necessary risks, simply because of fear? Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the vast, unknown future. But if we can summon the courage to push through that initial wave of fear, we often find, much to our surprise, that there was nothing truly substantial to fear at all. Reflect on this. What specific fears are currently holding me back from living my life more fully, more authentically? What would I dare to do, to be, to create, if I knew, with absolute certainty, that I could not fail? Protect your energy, elevate your life. Raising your vibration, then, is not about trying to avoid the complexities and challenges of life. It is, rather, about making conscious, discerning choices every single day. The traveler in our story was not explicitly told what to do at each juncture. He learned profoundly and unforgettably through his own direct experience. You, too, will learn and grow as you begin to mindfully observe how these 7 subtle influences impact your own life. Your own energy, when you consciously choose to let go of what consistently lowers your vibration. You will find that you naturally, almost effortlessly, begin to rise. Start today. Make a conscious commitment to speak with kindness and intention. Choose to nourish your body with foods that uplift and energize. Practice the art of releasing anger before it takes root. Gently let go of attachments to a past that no longer serves your present growth. Mindfully surround yourself with uplifting, supportive people who resonate with your highest aspirations. Strive to live each day with a clear and heartfelt purpose, and summon the courage to walk bravely through your fears, knowing that they are often the gateway to your greatest transformations. The journey to a higher, more vibrant way of being begins not with a giant leap, but with one single, conscious step. Are you ready to take it? Thank you so much for joining us on this journey of discovery today. We truly hope that the traveler's tale and these reflections on the 7 unseen poisons have offered you some valuable insights and inspiration for your own path. If this message has resonated with you, if you feel a desire to continue exploring ways to protect your energy and elevate your life, we warmly invite you to subscribe to our channel. We are committed to bringing you more content like this, designed to empower and enlighten. Please take a moment to click that subscribe button right below, and don't forget to hit the notification bell as well, so you'll always be the first to know when we release a new video. We genuinely love hearing from you, so feel free to leave a comment below. Perhaps share which of these 7 influences you feel most impacts your life, or any practices you found helpful in raising your own vibration. Your thoughts and experiences enrich our community, and if there's anything specific you'd like to learn more about in future videos, please do let us know. Until next time, may your energy be bright, your spirit light, and your path filled with peace. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.